Good afternoon. During the first class period this morning, we received information that a student may have a weapon on campus at Henry Clay High School. In accordance with our normal procedures, school administrators and Fayette County Public Schools police officers immediately began investigating. To reduce the movement of students and staff in the building while the investigation was taking place, the school was placed on lockdown at roughly 9:18 a.m. Officers located the student in question and confiscated a loaded handgun in his possession. The 15-year-old student has been arrested and charged with possession of a weapon on school property. We do not have any reason to believe the student intended to use the weapon. We have not found any credible evidence that threats were ever made against our students, staff, or campus. We are still investigating how the weapon got into the building.
Today's incident is a testament of the strength of the relationships we've built with Henry Clay High School and in our community. First, we have established a culture where our students actually feel comfortable going to staff and understand the importance of immediately reporting something when they've seen something or they've heard something. Those relationships have allowed us to take swift action today, and it has kept everyone safe. Our police officers are truly part of the campus, and they build relationships with students and administrators, and they know many of our students by name. And due to this culture that's been established on each campus, we have possibly avoided a potential emergency, and we were able to respond immediately. We're also fortunate to have incredible working relationship with external law enforcement agencies, as while our team was taking care of our students and our staff was taking to lead the investigation, we also received assistance from the Lexington Police Department, the Fayette County Sheriff's Department, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. Mr. Little.
Thank you. First, I want to commend the incredible faculty and staff at Henry Clay High School for the way they took care of students today. In our current national climate, it's natural for people to jump to worst case scenario, and the adults in our building went above and beyond to keep our students calm and reassured. Next, I want to thank our district for support and assistance they provided. We truly are a team here in Fayette County Public Schools, and everyone worked together today to wrap their arms around Henry Clay High School. The message I have for students and families is that our campus continues to be safe. As Chief Schafer said, there was no threat made against our school, and the student had no intent of using the weapon. Tomorrow will be a regular school day for us at Henry Clay High School. We will have a team of counselors from across the district at school tomorrow to provide support for students and staff as they process today's incident. Thank you.
Okay, we will now take any questions that you may have.
Dr. Williams, I know that there are several safety protocols in place for the schools in terms of how this weapon got in there. I know it's still under investigation, but I'm sure parents are going to have some concerns knowing that it made its way in. What can you elaborate or think about?
Well, we have a 10-point comprehensive safety plan here in Fayette County, and it includes a variety of factors that will help keep students safe. As Chief Schafer stated, we are still investigating how the weapon made its way into the building, but there were several other instances of things that worked very well. Our students, a student saw something, said something to an adult. The police officers and administration immediately got together, worked together to investigate, find the student, and ultimately was able to apprehend the actual weapon, and everyone was safe. So it is an overarching effort to ensure that all things are followed in order to make that happen.
You can't release identity, things like that, but in terms of, is the student will face expulsion from the district or any kind of what repercussions he faces?
Well, we have a conduct protocol that we will follow, and that student will fall within that.
Dr. Williams, what are those layers I'm sure it must be metal detectors, that kind of thing. What layers of security are there when kids come to school?
There are several layers, many of which we do not necessarily expose publicly, but metal detectors is one of those things. But we have various other layers of protection as well.
Physical checks of bags, anything like that?
Yes, we have a system where our police officers, our administration, and the organization that is contracted to do the checking of bags is also involved in this overall process.
I would take it those are probably under review as a result of this. I imagine any incident that you kind of look back at things.
Absolutely. We are an organization committed to continuous improvement, and so we're looking at all of the things that have occurred today and all of the things that possibly have led to what occurred today, and ensuring that we are going to continue to improve if we find that there's holes in some of our systems.
So just to clarify, the student had to go through a metal detector and have their backpack searched, and the gun still made it into the school?
We do not know how the student entered the school or how the gun made it into the school. That's still under investigation.
And then what do you have to tell parents to comfort them during this? I mean, with these safety layers in check, a loaded gun still made it into the classroom with their children.
Yes, again, unfortunately, we're living in a day's time where we are experiencing these sorts of issues. I do think in Fayette County, with our 10-point safety plan and all of the resources we've put forth to ensure the safety of our students and staff, that we find ourselves in a situation to where we are hopeful to prevent such instances. Again, it's multiple layers, it's multiple things that occur, both that are in front of the students, such as the entry, the check bags, all of the other things, but there's other layers as well to ensure that we're doing that, making sure our students who are having mental issues are having counseling and available to them. So there's multiple things that are occurring, but what I would like to just tell our parents is we are an organization that is committed to safety. We are an organization that is committed to building relationships with our students. And today, that worked. That work got us to a situation to where we were able to diffuse a situation where there was a loaded weapon on campus.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you had any parents or students talk to you about what they wish the plan would encompass more to prevent this? Like, have they come to you with suggestions?
We actually are in the process of reconvening our committee to take a look at our 10-point safety plan. It's been 5 years now, and in fact, we've started that process of coming together, and we'll gather a lot of community involvement and input as we did previously when it was originally made. But today, our main focus was on student safety and making sure that we were also informing our families and staff and students simultaneously.
Dr. Liggins, just a few quick questions. Are there any so are you saying there are access points into the school where there wasn't a metal detector for them to go into?
All students who enter into the building in the mornings go through a metal detector.
Okay. Also, some students that I spoke to today had referenced that maybe there were more than one student who brought more than one weapon on campus. Can you clarify that?
As Chief Schafer stated, one gun was found and one student was arrested.
And is it fair to ask, was this gang related?
We have no reason to believe at this point that it's associated with with anything other than being an isolated incident.
Okay. And then just for context, when was the last time an incident like this happened at Henry Clay High School?
To my knowledge, it has not happened since I've been superintendent, so well over a year.
Are you able to go into where this was? Was the gun in a backpack in a classroom? Was it in a locker? Are you able to get into any of that?
Yeah, upon being notified of this possible weapon on campus, like I had said earlier, we located the student. The weapon was found in a bag that the student was in possession of.
Okay, physically in possession in the classroom at that time?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you elaborate just quickly charges that the student faces?
Yes, as I said before, going to be charged with a weapon on school campus or school property.
You know, in terms of jail time, sentencing punishment like that, what that could entail?
Yeah,
with a charge like
and
that?
obviously, the investigation continues. This is a juvenile, so we're not going to speak to what repercussions will come of that. But at this point, we'll continue with the investigation, and we will let the process play out with the judicial system and with our student code of conduct.
Obviously, it's still under investigation. Are you able to go into, you've talked about the fact that there wasn't any intent to do anything with that gun. Are you able to kind of speak to how you came to that point? Was the student apologetic, oh my gosh, I forgot, or anything like that?
Yeah, and I can't speak to the statements collected at the scene, but in our investigation to this point, there was nothing stated or said that would indicate a threat or a lingering threat from here on out related to this.
As far as how the tip originally came in, what was it that students observed that alarmed them? Did they physically see a gun in a bag, or are you able to get into that?
As Dr. Liggins said, we really have a strong culture of the see something, say something. A student saw something that they felt was consistent with a firearm, and then they expressed that to staff, and which quickly led to an investigation with police and staff.
Did the students say they had the weapon on them for protection?
So that was not disclosed today. And again, I'm not going to speak to his statement, but I did not receive any information that there was, like I said earlier, that there was any intent or effort to use this weapon at school.
And then I don't know if this is more of a question for Principal Little. Could you explain to us how the students were removed from campus today? We got instructions from Lisa Defendahl not to use the word evacuation, so I just want to be clear on terms, how you guys facilitated for the students to be picked up by parents and by groups. Could you explain that to us?
It's my understanding that IAK sent a letter to families directing them to come to the school if they wanted to pick up their children. We set up a system that processed them through the gymnasium. We had workers from IAK show up to help us and our staff. We had a system, law enforcement was directing traffic to the front of the gymnasium, I guess really the back, but then we would just radio, we'd check an ID, the parent's ID, who's your child, hey, Jimmy Smith's mom's here, send them to the car lot. If they were a walker, they went through the front entrance. So we had two lines. We had walking parents and we had car-driven automobile parents. So on such short notice, we think it worked fairly well, and we were pleased with the way it worked. And parents were understanding, staff was great, their support was incredible. We're just glad that everybody's safe.
And then at that moment that you alerted the students, it's safe to say school was canceled for the day, but it will resume tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Principal Little, this might be something you want to elaborate on. I know Dr. Liggins talked a little bit about it. Unfortunately, we are in a society where we see incidents happening at schools, and I know I would imagine getting this alert or notification is the last thing a school administrator wants to ever hear. Can you talk to me just about how you have these conversations and training with students and staff about incidents like this, and how thankful you all are that this didn't lead to something more serious?
Well, we have an emergency safety plan in place at school. We discuss it at faculty meetings. We communicate it to students in the beginning of the year through PowerPoint and just explain it through them through the classroom. And like I say, you hope it never happens, but the procedures are in place, and thank goodness they work.
Could you talk a bit about, I know Chief, you were talking too about, and Dr. Liggins, the relationship that allows for tips like this to come in to keep that relationship with students. Can you talk about what it is that creates that relationship, what fosters that relationship, what works here to make that possible?
One of the things I communicate early in the year to students, whether it's freshman orientation, open house, et cetera, every student needs a go-to person, every student. And I encourage them to have a backup go-to person. And I tell them if you don't have a backup go-to person, then Mr. Little's your backup go-to person. And 99.9% of the students take it to heart. They know who their go-to person is. And when something comes up, whether it's they've been dumped by a girlfriend or boyfriend, or they see something that's scary, they go to that go-to person, and it works. It's a two-way trust line of communication that we have with our students. And that's how speaking of the last incident, that was the same. Students trust us. They come to us. They want their school to be safe.
Have you noticed a change in culture as far as that goes over the last few years as an educator in seeing incidents happen across the country? Have you noticed a change in students being more cautious about this kind of thing?
I think there's a level of awareness that we've never had, and I'm glad that we have it. And it's a level of awareness about something that we all wish we didn't have to have, but the students and the faculty take it very seriously. Thank you.
And just for clarification, school was not canceled today. The school day continued as normal. There were several parents that came to pick their children up, but the school was not canceled today, as well as it will not be tomorrow. It's a normal school day. Thank you all so much for your time and appreciate you coming out again.